Hi everybody, if you like this content, please subscribe and like this channel. My name is Courtney Butler Robinson and I do all things intentional living, health, and personal finance. And I am here today to talk to you about the same advice I'm giving my young adult children on how to handle their finances during this pandemic. This is not actually new advice. It's advice I've been following for my entire adult life. Sometimes I take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and then I'll take another 5 forward. So it is slow progress, but if you keep making the right decisions, you will come out on the other side of this. So let me tell you this advice, and I'll give it to you as to what I'm telling my young adult children and what we are doing, and we are in a much different situation. So the first thing is, if you are in extreme financial straits, you've lost your job, you haven't got your unemployment benefits, you were living paycheck to paycheck, apply for help. Now, this can be frustrating and hard, especially when everything is crashing. I have been applying for unemployment. I have been put on temporary leave until my work goes back. I'm going to scooch this over just a bit. Bear with me. And so I understand how frustrating it can be. But go ahead and start applying. So some things that I have done, because they were offered to us, and at this point in my life, I would rather have the money in the bank than to worry about paying my mortgage off early. So one thing I did was I called to see about refinancing our loan, and there is a 90-day mortgage deferment right now that tacks onto the end of your loan. Of course, you won't have extra interest, but they don't charge you any fees or extra interest on that. It just extends your loan out another 3 months. So I went ahead and took care of that while I am laid off. That way I can quit paying myself a paycheck, and that frees up money that I don't have to spend in case this thing goes really long. If you have student loans, they have been gone into forbearance, I believe, for 6 months with no interest. And you do not have to call, but I would anyway, just to make sure that I was legit. If you have credit card companies, you should give them a call. If you have a car loan, you might want to give them a call. Right now is a good time to refinance loans, and that might buy you some time, or get a forbearance on your loan, meaning you don't have to pay it right now. If you need SNAP benefits for food stamps, basically, you need health care, you call DHS. If you need to get health insurance, you can call, usually if there's been a change. I would highly recommend that you if you have a landlord, talk to your landlord if you need help. They might be able to work something out with you. Get creative. Maybe your lease is up and you might ask them if they would give you 2 months of no rent payment if you signed another year lease. There's all kinds of ways to get creative. Don't be afraid to ask. So right now is the time for triage to come in and stop the bleeding and figure out what to do. So that is number 1, is ask for help if you need it, and make that your job if you're not working. And so all of my kids are still working. 2 are working from home. 1 is disabled, so his financial path hasn't really changed that much. And the others are all still working, so they do still have income coming in. The next is spend less. If you are right now with restaurants, only doing delivery and most businesses closed down, it's a good time to go on a moratorium of spending and only buying what you need, so that you can shore up your funds in the event that something more drastic happens. Maybe you get sick and you have to be off work if you're still working, or maybe you're waiting on unemployment benefits. So try to reduce your spending as much as possible. Don't sit there and shop online. Be mindful of spending less. Thirdly is make more. Now you might be saying, Courtney, that doesn't make sense. How can I make more money? Well, you may not be able to. Maybe you can. My son works for DoorDash, and he's making pretty good money, but they are freezing hiring. A lot of these places are freezing hiring. If you need a job, you might consider going to one of the grocery stores at this time. You might be able to work a night shift. Make sure you find one that's being careful with the virus. So if you are unemployed, work on beefing up your resume. Work on getting a resume written. If you are working but you are barely making it before, this would be a good time to find someone to help you with your resume, get some help with that, so that it's always in personal finance. There's two components, and it's always make more, spend less. That's the main crux of it all. So try to figure out how you can make more money, whether it's doing extra projects, getting a side job, or preparing to get a better job when this is over, or sharpening up on your free skills right now. Maybe you take a free course online, or you sharpen your skills. Maybe you like to do social media, so you sharpen your skills by taking free social media courses, so that's a skill you can add to your resume if you're applying for another job. Because that's something that, like in my job, we pay people to do all of our social media. So I'm in the medical field. So that is something that you could learn for free. It's all on YouTube. The next one is shore up your savings. So my husband is still drawing a check, and I'm still taking a check from our roofing business. However, that has been depleted exponentially because it's a long story. It had nothing to do with the virus, but we had to spend a bunch of money on insurance to secure a big job. And so what I'm doing is, because I was able to take the 90-day mortgage free, I have quit paying myself out of my business as a yoga therapist, and I'm just letting that money sit and accumulate. And then when we get the $2,400 check, stimulus check, if we get it, I don't count anything till it comes in, that will go in savings. And then we are getting a tax return for the first time in years. We overpaid our taxes. And so I'm going to pay all of our bills up and ahead besides the mortgage, and everything else will go into savings. If, like my kiddos will get the $1,200 check, I would advise them to put that in their emergency fund. Another friend of mine is still working, but her children have been home from school and they were on free lunch. So I would advise her to first see if she could reduce her mortgage or get her mortgage forbearance for 90 days. When that check comes in, which hers will be $2,200, I hope, or at least she should get it for her kids, I would advise her to pay her bills and to get her emergency fund saved up. So you want to shore up your savings. If there's any extra money coming in right now, pay your bills and shore up your savings. By all means, don't go out and buy things you don't need right now. It's really important to not do that. Number 5 is to take special care of yourself at a time like this. You know, I've been off, and on the surface, I've had phone meetings where people are like, I can't move. I just watch TV all day. Well, I'm the opposite, and it's not necessarily a good thing. I am constantly working on projects, trying to work out every day, trying to spring clean. I make a date to sit down with my husband every night. But what I'm saying about that is just try to find a healthy balance. If you are home, try to follow the guidelines that are being set forth. And what does this have to do with money? It will hopefully keep you well so you're not out of work, or keep you well so that you can prepare yourself for when you go back to work and get some things done and stay well. So finding some light exercise. My husband and I exercise pretty hard, and the doctor recommended to me not to do that, to do light exercise. So I've been doing an hour yoga class every day and a 20-minute walk. Or today I did get tested for the coronavirus and was negative. So today I'm going to start back with my 7-minute aerobic cardio toning workouts. But I'm not doing more than that. And I try to either focus on something like today is bill paying day and organizing our taxes. If I'm not doing something like that, I might be cleaning out a drawer or a room, cleaning my own house, things like that. So it's a good time to take special care of yourself, eat better, care for your health. All right, and projects. So on that topic, going to number 6, it's a good time to take care of projects. In spring cleaning my house, Some days I've had the energy to do a whole room, other days I've done a drawer. One of the benefits to that is I have found things that were on my list to buy. So in cleaning out things, like I found toilet paper and paper towels. I forgot that I had a bag that I was carrying in the car. I sold the car and I carried a roll of toilet paper and paper towels in there for emergencies. And so I found that. I have been able to find a lot of things that were on my need list. I found a bunch of razor blades and the razors that went with them because I didn't particularly love them, but I have them if I need them. I also have been using up things like old shampoo, old conditioner, because I don't need my hair to look perfect right now. Old makeup, cleaning it out, and working on these projects not only gives you a sense of control, but it will help save you money because you won't be idly shopping, and you'll also find things that you thought you needed that you actually already had, which is a big problem when you have clutter. And personal health is number 7. So I've already touched on this, but this is a good time to look up home remedies. I cleaned out my vitamin cabinet and found that I had a lot of things that the CDC was recommending that you take, like vitamin C and zinc. I had some of those. They were stuck in the back of my cabinet. They were stuck in drawers. I have been cooking all of our meals from scratch. And though it might not be the normal diet I eat, I've been eating a little bit more carbs than I normally would because I had stockpiled on rice and beans. I wouldn't say stockpiled. I just buy that stuff, but I don't really eat it normally. I have it to eat now, and I actually haven't gained any weight. So I've been taking extra time to exercise, eat right, cook meals. It's a good time to look at those home remedies. I found a video on the Spanish flu that said one of the things they used on the Spanish flu was baking soda and water. It's also good for urinary tract infections, which I have chronic cystitis. So I've been doing a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of baking soda and water every day. I am not a doctor. I'm not recommending this. Look at the information for yourself before you do it. But I've noticed a big improvement in the way I feel, and just taking my vitamins, eating right, trying to sleep. So it's a good time to take good care of yourself and find home remedies and things that you can do to shore up your health, just like you shore up your savings account. Number 8 is pace yourself. So folks, we're going to be in this a while. I am filming this. I want to say it's March 31st. Yeah, I think tomorrow's the 1st. I got a call yesterday that I will be off at least through the end of April, so I know I'm home for another month. My husband is still working, but he's got a much more relaxed schedule right now, so pace yourself. If you are like me and you're very active, and some of you might be like, that's not my problem, then don't feel like you have to do it all. You do need to rest. And when I went to the doctor, because I'm having severe allergy symptoms, and they tested me for the coronavirus, they gave me some guidelines, and that was to rest, to sleep, to pace yourself, and not try to do too much. Your body needs its strength to fight off any infection it may come in contact with, whether that's the coronavirus or a flu or even a cold. You don't want to compromise your immune system right now. So make a list of things that you want to do while you're home, if you're home, or while your schedule is freed up, and do 1 or 2 of those things a day, because goodness knows, if you do all of those things, you do one thing a day for 30 days, you're going to have 30 things done that you didn't do. And if you're still working, I understand that may not apply to you, but even a drawer at a time makes a big difference. And then number 9 is be creative and ask. I have a couple of examples of this. My second son, I have 4 children of my own and 2 bonus children from my marriage. He was living in DC and he was about to move, and long story short, they have put them on telehealth for the time being, for the foreseeable future, probably at least until June or July. And he asked his landlord if he could get out of the new lease. He got his deposit back. He asked if he could move home until they go back to the office, which we're thinking that could be 3 months. So he has moved home. We have an Airbnb, and I've closed the Airbnb down so he could rent it for a nominal fee but he can live here for half of what he can live in DC for. And he, even with having to pay the exorbitant cost of internet living out in the country, which is $200 a month, he can live here and save money. So don't be afraid to ask. Ask for your rent, ask for your mortgage. Just be nice, and you'll be surprised at how people might be willing to work with you. This new stimulus plan has allowed some provisions for rent. I don't know what those are, but I know that if I owned a mortgage and someone couldn't pay their mortgage and I had a mortgage and I was able to defer the rent or work something out or reduce rent, I would be happy to do that to keep that tenant if they were a good tenant. So whatever your situation is, ask. And if you don't know what to ask for, say, is there anything you can do to help me through this time? I'm laid off, I'm waiting on unemployment, whatever it is, just try to be creative. The other thing is be creative with your meals, with your exercise, with your time. I mentioned earlier that I've been trying to use up like all the extra hair products and little containers of toothpaste and things like that. Rather than trying to run to the store for everything, how can I figure out how to do this? And I have a Facebook page called The Resourceful Life, and on my YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of things about resourcefulness. I was raised by Depression-era grandparents, so I was taught to be very resourceful. One example is my husband in the backyard, he ran over our septic tank cover, and I told him, we would have to go to the store to buy one right now. And I said, I know it's tacky. And he laughed and laughed when I said this. I said, but could you just duct tape the whole thing over? Because it just cracked it. And I said, and then when this is over, we can buy a new cover. Yeah, it's tacky looking, but who cares? I live on a 40-acre ranch. Ain't nobody going in my backyard but my dogs. And, instead of some other things we did, our front porch, we cleaned off all of our decks. Instead of going out and buying new pillows for the spring, which sometimes I will do, I won't spend a lot, but maybe $30, $40, $50. Or maybe I would buy a piece of furniture or something to spruce up my front porch. I just took everything off my porch, I scrubbed it down, and I cleaned it off, and I put it all back up there. It's not perfect, but it's clean and it will make do. We have been spending extra time just cleaning, working on projects. What I tell my husband, if touching your face is the end of me, I am done for y'all, because I touch my face constantly. I've told my husband, pay attention to the low-hanging fruit. There's so much low-hanging fruit right now. We have so many projects around here that don't need money to get done. So I've said, make a list, and everything that's free, do that first, that we don't have to go to the store for. So think about that when you're working on your projects at home. If you've got a project that you don't need to go buy anything for, then start there and keep yourself away from other people. This is not the time to be going out and buying things that are not necessities and exposing yourself and others to this illness. So be safe. All my love. I hope this has helped you and given you some ideas. Thanks so much. Bye.